Hi, it's Rowan here from Southpoint Films. Like many of us, I'm working from home at the moment. So what I thought I'd do is put together a few tips and tricks on how you can make your webcam and smartphone videos go from looking like this to something like this. The first thing we need to do is think about the location. Where are you going to be filming? It's important that you're not in front of anything inappropriate. Maybe don't film in your bedroom or somewhere where people can see something like your toilet. You should also be careful to make sure that the things behind you aren't embarrassing or doing something unusual like this card which has bunny rabbit ears which looked like they were sticking out of my head. Also make sure that the place that you record is quiet. Beware of things like washing machines and other equipment in your home or office which makes a noise. Another thing with your background, it's very common to stand in front of the wall as you know that there's nothing behind you. But as you can see here, it's very bland and it makes you look boxed in. Now a solution you may think is just to film outside, but the trouble with that is that you lose a lot of control. You might encounter wind noise, traffic noise, sound from birds and animals. The lighting can also be quite tricky too, especially if it's bright and sunny. And you never know what's going to happen in an uncontrolled environment, and you don't want to spend your whole time being disrupted by other things going on around you. Once you've found a suitable location, it's time to look at the lighting. One thing that a lot of people do is they film with the light behind them, and this doesn't look very good. As you can see here, the whole image is overexposed. I would suggest turning 180 degrees so that you're facing towards the window. That way all of that lovely light is coming in and lighting up your face, which is what people want to see. I'd also be very careful of filming beneath any overhead lights, which can make your face look very shadowy. It also doesn't help here that we've got two different light sources, both of which have different colour temperatures, which means I look really yellow and very ill, while the background looks very blue and cold. When it comes to actually positioning your camera, I would avoid holding the camera in your hands, as this can make the footage look very wobbly. Make sure your device is placed on a stable surface and isn't likely to move. It's also important that your camera is at eye level. You don't want people to be seeing up your nose or looking down at your forehead. You can be creative here and use household items to lift your device up, if necessary. When you're happy with your shot, give it a quick look over and don't forget to remove anything from the background that you're not entirely happy with. Now, if you're using a smartphone or a tablet without a stand, you might need to prop your device up against something so that your camera is at a good angle. It doesn't really matter what you use for this, as nobody's going to see behind the camera other than you. Just make sure it's stable and it's going to hold your device in place for as long as you need. For capturing audio, you want to make sure you're as close to the microphone as possible to ensure that you get good sound. Try not to go any further than a metre away from your device, as it'll have to increase the sensitivity of the microphones to hear you, which will boost other sounds like hums and traffic noise. This is a test recording about 50 centimetres away from the device. And this is a test about 6 foot away from the device. And this is a test recording about 15 feet away from the device. As you can hear, the quality of the microphone decreases the further away you are from the microphone. Just a quick note about using something like these. Now I generally recommend against it, just because although you can get good audio from a distance while wearing them, they are a bit of a subtle barrier between you and the audience. When someone's got headphones on, you generally think this person is switched off, they're disengaged from the world, and they don't want anything to do with me. And you don't really want your viewers thinking that when they're watching a video with you in it. Now, one quick note about the orientation of your device. You'll probably notice that so far everything in this video has been recorded in landscape, and that's because this video is going in all kinds of different places. And I would say unless you're specifically recording for Instagram or TikTok or Snapchat or one of these other portrait first platforms, everything you record should be in landscape, because at the end of the day, if we really need it in portrait mode, you can always take away the sides, which you can't do if you don't have anything there to begin with. It's much easier to take a landscape video and turn it portrait than it is to take a portrait video and make it landscape. So remember, landscape first, unless it's for a portrait video platform. Finally, it's time to check your appearance. Make sure you're happy with how your hair looks, your clothing is appropriate for what you're about to be saying, and so on. As you can tell, I've been in lockdown for a little bit too long, and I'm perhaps a bit more casual than I should be for a professional corporate video. But there's an easy way to solve that. with editing. That's more like it, although I think I'm going to tone it down just a little bit, as that's perhaps a little bit too smart for our brand. Okay, so now it's time to record. Hopefully this is the easy bit because you've planned what you're going to say, you've even rehearsed it a couple of times, and you're going to knock it out of the park. But all I will say on this bit is that remember, less is often more, especially with these DIY videos where maybe they're not going to be edited in quite an engaging way as a professional video. With your video filmed and ready to go, you'll now be able to upload it to social media or use it however else you please. While this sort of footage will never look as good as something captured by a professional setup, if your video is going to be sticking around for a while, it might be worth sending it to our professional editors here at Southpoint Films, where we can do touch-ups to the colour, add blurring to the background to make it look slightly more upmarket, and we can edit it with other material such as archive photos and videos that you already have to better tell your story. So there we have it. We hope you found this useful, and we look forward to seeing you in the next one.